Now for those of you who may not know, despite me playing an array of very hard levels at slower speeds mind you, I'm not exactly very good at the game, and for about a year the hardest level I'd ever beaten was X-Step, which is currently number 12 on the main levels list. Nice achievement, but it's still noob material. I mean technically I've also been Electro Man Adventures, which is 10 on the list, but I found X-Step harder, so I guess it was time for a new hardest. But, where to start? I mean there's so many options at this point. Do I go for another Rob Top level? Do I try and beat an easy demon? Or do I try to do something stupid and jump straight to a hard demon like 9 Circles? I mean my wave skills are good, but are they good enough? I didn't really take any of these thoughts seriously however, because I spend most of my time playing Geometry Dash in the recent tab, where of course the best levels are made. I mostly play on my phone because basically the only time I play GD is during a commute or break or something, because as soon as I start playing on PC I have to pull out OBS and record it, and I know I'm going to have to edit up within the week, so it's not that convenient. So most of the time when I play, I give a level about 30 so attempts and see if I can beat it, and if I can't, I move on to another one. And if I happen to record it, well, then that's great content for Ninjadan. So, due to the fact that the recent tab is pretty much filled up with wave spam and blind cube sections, that essentially became my skill set. But then, one day, for no reason in particular, I decided to play the daily level, which was Crunkle Berry. Anyway, I got to the first wave pretty quickly and I realized that despite the wave looking pretty difficult, for me that is, I was somehow able to do it, and it was pretty fun and I became consistent at it. I posted my progress on the level in my Discord server, and told everyone how good the daily level was today, but all I really got back was beat the level. And of course, I had spent my 30 attempts on it and I had moved on. Why would I go back and complete it? I mean it's a harder for goodness sake. But I listened to them anyway, and a few attempts later I got this run. I was actually getting close to beating this level, so I put in 20 so more attempts and I keep dying at the UFO over and over and over again. So I went back into practice mode and tried runs from the end to the beginning, you know, the Aeon Air strategy. And it actually worked. 100 or so attempts later I got consistent at the UFO, and I ended up beating the level quickly after doing runs from zero. Unfortunately, I don't have a recording of that completion, but I recently re-recorded the completion on PC with the same 90Hz frame rate that I was using. And look at that, I beat it in 6 attempts. Isn't it crazy how much I've improved? But after beating the level, I realized that this was the first harder daily level that I'd beaten in months, and I was pretty happy with that. But little did I know that this single event would start me on a road that would end with me getting my current hardest level. The next thing that I did was try to beat Fingerdash. I knew I had the skills to beat Fingerdash, and it's widely regarded in the community that Fingerdash is harder than X-Step, despite them both being rated as insane. I didn't actually end up playing much of Fingerdash, so I died the last spider part after a while, so that was pretty cool. Then after that I started completing a few more daily levels, including this one, and this cool movie themed one. Slowly after each one I felt like I was actually getting closer. I was able to beat each daily level in less and less attempts. Due to this confidence I found that I was playing the harder ones more often. I considered trying to keep a streak of beating a new level daily as they come out. Maybe I could even try to beat all the daily levels released in the same week. But every time an insane level came along, that streak kept getting broken. I was just not skilled enough to beat them in one day. Meanwhile, I was playing more recent tab levels, and I saw one in particular that caught my eye, mostly due to its absurd name, which was Tartarus Circles. Then of course, as all good completions started out, I posted a progress clip of 45% on the Discord, with some ironic text that read something along the lines of, "Look guys, it's the hardest 9 Circles level in Geometry Dash, Tartarus Circles." And just like the one daily level that I posted on the Discord that started off my daily level grind, they told me beat it. So, after 150 attempts, I bet this sort of simple level. It really should not have taken me 150 attempts, but I sent through the completion and they told me I was cheating. Why? Because my FPS was at 90. Of course the comment was probably in nature ironic, however it did bring up a good point. Unlike most of the other people who play on mobile, my phone has a variable refresh rate that goes up to 90Hz. Most mobile phones reach 60Hz, which gives me an advantage compared to other players. So from that day on, I decided to lock my phone at 60Hz because I didn't really want people to brush off my achievements because of my higher mobile refresh rate. Things started to get a little harder from then on out. So what was the next logical step after beating Tartarus Circles? Well, it's to beat Acheron Circles, which yeah, it was another poorly made level with its scary name, but it was around my skill range. I gave it a go and I actually really struggled on 60Hz. I got this far, which was about 200 attempts before giving up. Then I tried to play Fingerdash again, and I actually got further. I got 94%, dying to the last cube. And it only took about 10 or so attempts to do that, like right off the bat, so obviously I was improving. And in fact, I came to the decision that maybe Fingerdash is too easy for me. Maybe I should try and jump to something harder, something a lot harder, something that would take me 2,000 or so attempts or something. Something that I can truly call a new hardest, so I went looking. The first thing that I decided was that I was not going to beat the Nightmare or the Lightning Road as my first demon level, because everyone beats those and I wanted to be different. So I decided to play Ultra Paracosm, mostly because Peace Banana beat it around the same time, and I thought a wave-based level could suit me well. So I started playing on a slightly buffed copy of the wave, so that when I went and played the wave in the actual level, I would be better at it and I'd be more likely to pass it. And pretty soon I scored a run of 37%, not bad. But then for no reason whatsoever, I just stopped playing it. I don't know why, it just sort of happened. And instead, I changed my mind and thought that I could beat Void Club as my new hardest. For those of you who don't know what that level is, it's a hard demon / easy demon which is built to look like a top 10 ILL level. In fact, it looks like it plays like one. But in reality, the gameplay is all sorts of hidden D-blocks and buffer clicks that you can exploit. I got a few minor runs on the level near the start that look very impressive. But trust me, they're not impressive. I am not a pro player, and do not believe your eyes. And of course, for another unknown reason, I straight up stopped playing that level too. In fact, it sort of looked like my quest to be new hardest was over, until I had the week. This week changed everything, and it was the week where I managed to beat every daily level that week, all 7 of them. The week started out with a whole bunch of easier levels I didn't really remember and didn't end up recording. However, the last 3 days of the week were really something. The first level that properly challenged me was Square Boy. It was a 7-star harder level, probably because it was actually a 6-star harder level but it was 2 minutes long. The level felt crazy long for me and it put me out of my comfort zone. The first good run that I had was a death at 47%, which was the first duel. I was never very good at duels, but after a bit of practice, I was able to pass them quite easily. This level was taking a lot longer to beat than any of the previous daily levels I tried to beat. I had taken 50 or so attempts already and I was going to give up, but then I got my next death at 77%, which was literally the next duel. So after getting 77%, I did something sort of stupid, which was not practicing the second duel. So I died there nearly the exact same way, multiple times, decreasing my motivation even more, until I finally passed the second duel and had this very unfortunate run. After my 96% fail, I decided to practice it from the end to the beginning, like I did with Crunkle Berry. Then about 60 attempts later, I beat it. In total, Square Boy had taken me 100 or so attempts. The next level of the week was Wanderers. I beat this level on the same day that I beat Square Boy. It took about 2 days to beat Square Boy, and the next daily level was Ready Already. Wanderers was the opposite of Square Boy. Wanderers was a 6-star, however instead of it being easier gameplay over a longer length, it was harder gameplay over a shorter length. It didn't take long for me to get to the hardest part of the level, the UFO section. Straight away I learnt from my mistakes that I made with Square Boy and started practicing the UFO on its own, until I had it down. Then it didn't take long until I had the level completed. Despite being easier than Square Boy, somehow it only took 155 attempts, which is a few more than Square Boy. Interesting. Then, the next day, I had the level that changed everything. I woke up the next day and saw that the daily level was an 8-star insane, Burger Dance. It was the last day of the week, and my hopes for getting a full week of daily level completions had been dashed by this one level. Or, I could beat it. So, I played through it briefly like I did with all other insane daily levels to see if I could take it, and I was surprised. The inputs weren't too hard, and there wasn't any insane ship sections. I could actually beat this level. Maybe. So I started playing, and within the first 20 minutes I got 65%. That was halfway through the level. Already, I could probably beat this. But then I went to practice mode and I realized my mistake. I found out that the further you go through this level, the harder the level becomes. The spider section at the end was absolutely insane. It was like a random hard demon part at the end of an 8 star. It was truly something. So knowing that this would be the thing that I'll die to over and over again, I practiced until I was confident. However, the next day had already arrived. But I was still going to complete Burger Dance. I wasn't going to change to the new level until I completed it. That day I got a run from 76 to 89%. It was a small run, but also the first half of the spider section, so I was pretty proud of that. I also did 90% to 100%, which was the hardest 10% of the level. And I did that 3 times in a row. At this point I had about 500 attempts on the level, which was a lot already for a daily level, but I decided that I was in it for the long run. The next day I did the full spider section, or 75% to 100%, and also 76%, meaning that I had the level now in 2 runs. The day after that I managed to get 75% to 100% 3 times in a row, meaning that I had mastered the spider section. However, I was quite worried about the final click, as while the final click wasn't hard per se, it was fast, and my runs were often getting killed by me crashing into the ground at the last click, instead of clicking the orb early and avoiding the platform. So that was always on my mind. But I also scored 81%, which was midway through the spider section on that same day. I was truly in the endgame now. The next day, I did it. I beat the level, fluking it from 81% with no last click death thankfully. In total, the level took me 1,280 attempts, which felt like a long time, but it wasn't really anything compared to my previous attempt counts, with X-Step taking me around 2,000 attempts, and Explosive taking me 4,600 attempts. Despite those higher attempt counts, I do feel that Burger Dance is my hardest level, because in this journey that I've taken, I've improved so much since beating those levels, and I feel like the only level that could truly challenge me enough to pour 4,000 attempts into it again would either be a medium demon or an extreme challenge of some sort. But that was my journey of beating my new hardest level in Geometry Dash. It wasn't easy, but now when people ask what my hardest is, I say Burger Dance. It's a very insane level.